Okay, so you saw that the UI button has an intrinsic size based on the text and image it may contain. That means we only need two constraints to center this button on our view, one for the x-coordinate and one for the y-coordinate. There are two ways to add these constraints, and I'll cover both here. With the record button selected, you can click on the align button that looks like a bar graph. If you're having trouble finding the record button, remember to use your document outline here and select it there. With the record button selected, click on the align button, which looks like a bar graph here, and then select these two options on the bottom to center it horizontally and vertically in the container, and then select add two constraints. We can now see both constraints in the record button in the document outline. You can expand these triangles if you want to see them actually here. And if you're like me, you may have encountered the first auto layout issue, which is these orange lines that you see here, or this yellow disclosure here that you can see in the top. Now, let's fix that first before we run it. So if you click on this tiny arrow, we can see that Xcode expects that our button be on X of 276, width of 29, and height of 30, and its height is 32. So if we expand this out a little bit and click on this one, we can get it to fix the frame. That is, to fix the size of the button so it matches the constraints that we've declared. We'll do that. We can see it's trimmed the record button to fit just the text or just the intrinsic size of our button. Let's see if adding these constraints works. Let's select the iPhone 6s here on the simulator dropdown and press the Run button, or hit Command and R on your keyboard. We should see the record button on the center of the screen. With the iPhone simulator selected, press and hold down the Command key, and then use the right or left arrows to rotate the simulator. I'm going to use the right arrow here to rotate it to landscape right, and I can use the left arrow to rotate back to portrait. In both orientations, we can see that our button stayed in the center. Now let's try it on an iPad Air 2, which is a lot larger than the iPhone 6s. If I move this to the side, we can go back into Xcode, we can press the stop button. We can here in the drop-down select an iPad Air 2 and hit Run. Now we have a record button, but it looks like our iPad simulator is too big to fit on our screen. What do? We could go out and buy a large Thunderbolt display, and I would recommend that. We could petition Johnny Ive to bring back the 17-inch MacBook Pro laptop. Well, there's an easier option. With the iPhone simulator selected, let's go into Window, and then Scale, and then you can choose a different size here. For example, let's do 33%. That makes our iPad a lot smaller, and we can see it. We can use the Command keys to jump around between those sizes too. For example, Command 3 will get us a little bit bigger. Command 2 will get us even bigger, and now it's again off screen. So we'll stick with Command 3. Here you can see the record button is still in the center of the screen, even if I use Command and arrow keys to rotate the iPad to landscape right or back to landscape left. By the way, these options just scale down the size of the iOS simulator as a whole to what you're seeing. For your app, everything is still the same size.